Oh, yeah. Yeah, no worries. Oh, okay, appreciate it. Sure, I'm ready.
I guess he's next anyway.
Yeah, let's put it at 6:10, so it was
Did I take your seat?
relatively easy.
This is speakers up to walls, on butts.
Your mic's on, Dave. And I'm ready when you are.
Okay,
Recording in progress.
Good evening. Tonight is August 6th, 2024 at 6:03 p.m. I'd like to call this meeting to order and a roll call, please.
Sure, Shane, President.
Chessex and Uranian President. 1.2, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to also thank our service members, past and present, and our first responders. Thank you for your service.
Thank you,
This meeting is recorded and it will be uploaded to YouTube afterwards. Is there anyone else recording?
Yep.
There is one person recording in here. 1.4, Chairman's additions and deletions. I'd like to add a resolution per our discussion in our meeting last night to 4.11. 1.5, notice from the official website of the Mass Attorney General. I just wanted to point out that there had been questions in regards to open meeting law and recording, and in regards to public participation in meetings. Under the open meeting law, the public is permitted to attend meetings of public bodies, but is excluded from an executive session that is called for a valid purpose listed in the law. Any member of the public also has a right to make an audio or video recording of an open session of a public meeting. A member of the public who wishes to record a meeting must first notify the chair and must comply with reasonable requirements regarding audio or video equipment established by the chair so as not to interfere with the meeting. The chair is required to inform the other attendees of such recording at the beginning of the meeting, which I did. While the public is permitted to attend an open meeting, an individual may not address the public body without the permission of the chair. And that's on the official website of the Attorney General of Massachusetts. There have been questions with a couple of other boards in regards to individuals recording, but it is, anybody can record in the public meeting. Any questions on that? 1.6, review and approve meeting minutes for 6/24, 7/2, 7/8, and 7/16. Did you get a chance to review all of
Yes,
those?
I did.
I don't have any issues with it.
And I don't.
Alright, so, I'll entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes for June 24th, July 2nd, July 8th, and July 16th.
So moved.
Second, any further discussion, anything from you, Ross? All those in favor?
Sure, Shane, yes.
Chessex and Uranian, yes. Appointments and hearings 2.1, at appointment at 6:05, which it is 6:05. As requested in our last meeting, there was a public comment from the Historic District Commission member, Julia Stockwell. Julia?
Do you want me up at the table to speak,
Sure,
or can I do
sure.
it right from here?
Either, whatever makes you feel comfortable.
Well, I just want to address the fact that we are now only a board of 4 members, okay? And I did listen to what you read regarding the open meeting law and also cooperating with each of the boards, okay? But I didn't get a chance to really address Mary Jane. And I'm gonna address, if I may, Mary Jane Churchville and Ano Kelper tonight. I know you've talked to some people, and and I know exactly who you talked to regarding the funding of the program. I know that person, I've known that for generations of that particular person. So I know that if he said something, that it might have been misinterpreted, or he didn't take the time to really address it the way that he should have, because he's always very busy and always very focused on his jobs. So I've known him for a long time, I respect him. I've also had to, I've also stood up for him several times with people, but you've only given just a couple of people and talked about a couple of people. And you've also talked about maybe doing a little bit of looking at a few videos to make a decision about a person who is very valuable to this town. She's a daughter of this town, as I am. She was born here. Her family was a doctor. The mother did a lot for this town to support it. Every one of the children of the siblings are educators. She is too. She's a teacher. She taught high school Latin and English. She also has real estate license, so she taught that at Penn State. She's also worked with the FBI and doing court cases in mortgage fraud. She's currently working with many lawyers throughout the United States regarding fraud and title search and title land search. So, and she's often gone into court as an expert witness. So, and I've known Mary Jane all her life. Well, except for a few times when she's lived in other states. But I grew up with her, I grew up with her family, I know her family very intimately. And I really feel, I'm really requesting that you maybe do a little more research and maybe discuss, you know, whether you feel that she's appropriate for any of the boards here in town, and that she would be very helpful to the town. So I'm giving you a list, and I've taken time to do this, because these are people that she knows, that I know, that she knows, and that know Mary Jane and her family. It's a lot of people on the list. I don't expect you to go and talk to every one of them, but I really would like to request as a person of this town, a taxpayer and a citizen of 8,679 people, okay, that actually you work for me too, as a board. I know you get elected, and I know you're volunteers, and I respect that. But I also respect her very much, and I think we should be doing jumping jacks and jumping up and down and doing flip-flops to get her on any of the boards. She's a very talented young woman, and I think she does have the best interest in the town. She came back to town, to her homestead, to help because she loves this town. She grew up in this town like I did, and she wants to help. Okay, so I just ask you to really, really consider, you know, I don't expect you to look at all of them, but even the person we talked about that may have said something that might have been misinterpreted is on that list as well, too. So I did put them on
I'm
here.
just gonna correct you. My conversation I've had with people.
Joe,
Yeah.
this is public comment, so we can't comment.
Can I allow him to comment? I'm sorry, I would have loved to have had you comment. All right,
You're wrong in the name. I'm good. I didn't get the information.
well, there were a couple of names you mentioned. Are you turning your back on me?
I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. I know you didn't mean to be disrespectful. I know you're upset. I was too when I heard it. Because this person has been in town and grew up in this town, and the family has really contributed a lot. And the person that I also felt that you talked to has grown up in this town, and I've known them for 4 generations, and I know that they've contributed a lot to this town. So it seems like we're pitting two families against the other, and I'm not happy with that. So I really just ask you, out of respect, to just maybe, excuse me, I'm gonna lose my voice because of this, but to just take a little bit of time, look at the list I gave you, and maybe talk to a few more people and see if your opinion might change, and then maybe come back later. Okay? Now with Ano, I don't know Ano as long as I have Mary Jane. Actually, with Mary Jane, I've listened to her siblings on there, by the way, who better knows her than, you know, her shortcomings and her achievements than her 2 siblings. So they're on there as well. With Ano, I haven't known as long, I've known him at Town Hall when I've seen him in here at the elections. I know him in the Historical Society. He's really a gentle soul and knows a lot of information about the board. He's been on that board for that commission for more than 15 years, right? So there's not a lot of us that have a lot of that information on there. So before we were gonna meet with the selectmen for the appointments and reappointments, they had talked about reorganizing the board. So he was gonna give up the chairmanship. So I don't know if that has any effect on what your decision was, because you never did say why didn't reappoint him. But, you know, most of the board members are over 77 years old. In fact, all of our members are over 77 years old. We have a wealth of information, especially about this town. So I really request seriously that you take another look at the situation, okay? We did get a new application today, which is good. We're gonna review that at the next meeting. But, I would really like to see you talk to some of the people in there and then maybe come back. And if you come back with the same decision, then I'll respect that. Okay? Okay, one other thing. I haven't been in the town hall, I've been on the committee for 30 years. And I didn't have, you know, I know how to post, but I didn't know about the Zoom or how to get to it or how to schedule an appointment. I mean, a room to set up a meeting, because I'm an interim clerk now. So I had to learn all those things. It would be nice if the board could just put a one-page sheet to new members explaining that these are the things that have to be done for the board. Even though they may not do it right away, at least they have an idea that it's done and why it's done in the future. One last thing, if I may. I was disappointed that I couldn't speak at the meeting last time. So, and I heard what you said about the Attorney General. I just ask that maybe it's possible for you to leave maybe 10 or 15 minutes at the end of your meetings before you adjourn, to allow anybody who wants to speak, any person in the town that wants to speak or has a question to address it, and then adjourn. Do you have any questions of me? Good. Thank you for giving me the time. to
You're
speak.
welcome. You're very welcome. Thank you. Alright, 2.2. Chief, we're a little late, I apologize.
No worries, no worries, no worries. You can hear.
Yes. This is a discussion in regards to the police department with temporary change to the 12-hour shift. So, the floor is yours.
Sure. As a result of some staffing issues, we are down 3 positions. 2 are actually open, 1 is at the academy. So 3 positions are not populating the schedules, creating quite a bit of an impact at the department. Particularly this time of year with port training, details, vacations, that type of thing, it's really having a big impact. Union approached us a few months back asking for a short-term trial type program where they would transition to 12-hour shifts. We had a number of meetings ironing out what we felt were the major issues or the issues within doing that. One of the major things is it's fairly foundational to the department. Obviously, the entire collective bargaining agreement is littered with things that get impacted when you move from the 8s to the 12s. So we went back and forth. I engaged counsel to come up with a memorandum of understanding to deal with it for a 3 or 4 month period. Just a quick overview of those things. The pay scales are addressed in there. Time off is addressed in there. I feel that that's something that the board should take a look at. Because we're dealing with it only in 1 quarter, you really can't convert hours and days. So when a person takes a day off, what does that mean? Is it a 12-hour day? Is it an 8-hour day? So we did address that in the memorandum of understanding to be as fair as we possibly can. We don't anticipate it having that much of an impact in their banks. It seems to be fairly negligible. If this is something that we wish to continue, it is something that will need to be brought up at our bargaining session when the whole contract is open, because the impact is profound. It is throughout the CBA. There's really no way to transition to 12s without going through that contract from A to Z. Some keys to it, we're doing what we can to be creative, to keep the staffing levels where they need to be. We have employee wellness and mental health at the top of that consideration, and we don't want to work our guys to death, literally or figuratively. We've collaborated with them in both in the crafting of the memorandum of understanding, but in the spirit of it as well. So if there are these things that we couldn't see in hindsight, there's a lot of change going on in this little quarter that we're talking about. They've agreed to handle that at the lowest level and try to deal with that in a proactive fashion as opposed to, using labor movement to do so. The days and hour conversion is a little goofy. There is no question about that. When a guy takes a day off, his bank will only be hit 8 hours, but he'll only be accumulating 8 hours as we go. They work more hours straight time, which is another interesting thing. It is compliant with FLSA, but they work 84 hours in a 2-week period, all on straight time. Anything outside their normal hours worked is overtime, which is consistent with the contract as it is. The other thing I wanted to make sure that I brought to the board's attention was that I am very well aware of the dangers of officers working too much. And there is a maximum hours work provision of our current CBA, which I would say in public don't find to be all that effective, but nonetheless, there is one. It is rendered useless when we went to the 12, so we did address this in the MOU. There is a maximum hours worked provision in there. If an officer were to abuse that or to be in violation of that, they could lose their privileges to work overtime, details, or outside employment. So it is addressed as best as it can be. If it's all right with you, what I'll do is I'll have you sign 2 copies of it. I'll facilitate getting it to the union and we'll retain the original for the length of the agreement.
I've reviewed this memorandum of understanding, I talked to the chief. I think it does everything he says it does. It's meant to be short-term. It says at the end that if it's not specifically written in the MOU, the rest of the contract stays the same. I've always been very sensitive when shifts go from a 5-2 schedule that we sort of consider normal to a 4-2 schedule that a lot of police and fire have, now to the Pittman schedule. And I think we come out with 4 more hours in 2 weeks, for the officers, so that will help with the shift coverage and might reduce some overtime. So I think it does what the chief of the union report will do. And since it's a trial, at the end of that time period, we'll know whether it worked the way we expected. And then if it's something that people think should continue, that'll be a negotiation process. But I think this is workable for the department. I don't think it hurts the town. It might save us some money, but it's not gonna be an add to the budget cost.
Yeah, we met several times throughout this as well, and we really did try and crunch the numbers. It looks like it'll be negligible, the impact on the overtime is being hit hard, as you can imagine with the openings as it is. There still will be overtime needed to run the department, clearly that's planned. We think the impact on it will be negligible and in a positive way. As Ross had said, it does add a significant amount of hours onto the schedule at straight time, so we think between those 2 things, there should be a fairly good offset. Any adjustments to salaries, to the men to adjust for time differences and shift differentials are negligible as well. We try to keep them within the parameters of what we've already budgeted.
I think there are a couple officers that would pick up a little bit of the shift differential, and there are a couple that would actually lose some of the shift differential depending upon where they worked. So it's not a huge, well, I said, I don't think it's gonna have any negative impact on the budget.
I've had conversations with the chief in regards to this also. I think it's a smart move for the department, especially where they're down 3 men right now. And whatever we can do to make sure everybody's protected is the right way. And he's the man in charge, and we gotta respect what his thoughts are.
I agree with, no questions on that. Couple of questions though.
Sure.
Number one is, we do have, an individual that's in training, correct?
Correct.
So he's in the academy?
That's correct.
Okay, when is that individual coming?
So I believe the graduation date, don't hold me exactly, but I believe the graduation date is sometime in December. There'll be field training, so that usually runs anywhere between 8 and 12 weeks, so you're looking at a spring release for that.
Okay.
The remaining 2 positions we need to repost. We had a hiring process back in Waterloo, and so I'm sad to say no one made it through. We did not choose or select anybody from that group, so we will repost and retest for those 2 open positions. We'll get snapping quick, probably within the next couple of weeks. We'd like to probably put something out and probably have these guys testing, or these people testing by the end of September, mid-September, I would imagine. I'd like to keep it out for about a month and flesh out candidates. We do quite a bit of outreach. We do quite a bit with the colleges, quite a bit with, that type of stuff. So we'll get that done. We like to have that out for at least a month.
So the timeline on that is what,
We're,
about
yeah,
6 to 8 months
yeah.
before you?
If we were lucky enough to get someone that was full-time certified, which we usually get some candidates, but if we were lucky enough to enter an agreement with one of them, that would be a shorter period of time, obviously. But we never bank on that. We always plan on looking at the academies as the schedule, and we would be looking out. Again, you're looking at a 9-month period. Generally speaking, if you were to tell me right now I had an extra 2 positions, those 2 positions will be full for almost a year, and that's if I could get going right away. I mean, the lag between me losing a person and putting someone on is at the very minimum 9 months, and I'd probably stretch that out to probably 10.
So I have looked at, I do go over this pretty carefully, and I do understand the impact that it has on other areas besides just the hours. I mean, my major concern, as you can well imagine, is the mental health ramifications, and the change of time ramifications, and the health of the officers, because that to me is first and foremost. So do we have enough resources to provide for them?
Yeah, we do. We've got a couple of employee wellness initiatives that I would be more than happy to go over with you offline that I think help in this matter as well. But they get more time out of the building, which was one of the major goals and objectives of this. More days off. Now, that's not to say that they're not their own worst enemy and wouldn't fill those days with activities and
Right.
overtime and details.
Right.
But that's why we were fairly assertive in the area of maximum hours worked and addressing that in there. Both hours, both days, the amount they can work in a 24-hour period. It was really well thought out, I thought. And they've agreed to come back to the table fast, and there's a very easy way out of this if we feel as though it is not working as designed. They've agreed to address
This was
that.
a union, right? Initiated from the union?
It was initiated from the union, but the vast majority of the construct of the agreement was ours, but initiated from
But,
the union.
but my point is, it's not something that we're imposing on the union, mandating a 12-hour shift when they don't want it.
Oh, hardly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's something that's,
They're chomping at the bit to do something.
Right.
so, I think that may address sort of the worry about, burnout is, it's not the chief mandating overtime, it's them asking for this shift because it seems to fit
Yeah, we'd
the
like to.
department's schedule better.
Yeah, we'd like to reduce forcings and that type of thing, and they're well aware of that. This is an incredibly good group to collaborate with, and this was done in full collaboration.
It's the fatigue that I'm more concerned about.
Sure.
Which I think that, you and I have talked about it. I'm okay with
And we're gonna try it for 4 months roughly.
I believe the date is through August 18th through December 31st, and that's fairly rough, just making sure that we can work the payroll and treasurer.
And if it works out, you're gonna come back and see to extend it, or we're gonna wait till the new contract?
One of those two. I think if we do look to extend it temporarily, that would be one thing. If we look to extend it permanently, we would extend it temporarily first, and then we would make it a matter of bargaining at the next session, and it would be a pretty significant issue to bargain.
Yeah. I'm good. I appreciate everything, Chief.
and the bottom line on your budget is that it's really not going to be affecting that at all.
We're hoping it's a net zero, or at worst, and a gain at best. It's never easy when you're down that many people.
No.
So do we need a motion to go forward with that?
Motion to approve and sign the MOU, to change the police
Okay.
shifts to 12 hours as outlined in the MOU.
I make a motion, we approve and sign the temporary MOU for change of 12-hour shifts for the MOU in front of us.
Second that. Any further discussion?
We have it.
All those in favor?
Shoshank, yes.
That's the Iranian.
Do we sign it now for you, or would we?
I can come back and pick it, there's no need for that.
Do we have one?
You have the agreement there? I mean, I've got one that doesn't.
I even not in a hurry, you've got an electronic copy now, why don't you take this, it's a fresh copy, you can use that.
All right.
No, just give that to you.
Sign it.
Okay.
We could do that.
Thank you,
Excellent.
Chief.
Thank you very much, Tony.
Thank you, sir.
Good luck with that.
Thank you, sir.
You took away half of my report for tonight now.
Cindy, it's good to see you. Good night.
Like,
3.1 1, I will entertain a motion to appoint election workers for the term of 8/15/2024 until 8/14/2025, as listed in the agenda.
So moved.
Any discussion on that? I gotta second it, sorry. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Joe Shank, yes.
Chaz Sexton Uranian, yes. 3.2, we have a reappointment for the Townsend Affordable Housing Trust, for 2 individuals, both Cindy Boundy and Beverly Napier, until June 30th. So I'll entertain a motion to reappoint the Townsend Affordable Housing Trust, to the Townsend Affordable Housing Trust, Cindy Boundy and Beverly Napier until June 30th, 2026.
So moved.
And second, all those in favor?
Joe Shank, yes.
Chaz Sexton Duranian, yes.
You have a copy of that, right? So you saw the app.
Yes. It was in SharePoint. 3.3, we did receive a reappointment request for the Historic District Commission, in regards to, one that we had talked about, last meeting, and I would just request that we put that on hold right now until after we, do the review from the request from the individual today in their public comment. I think that would be the best way to approach that. Meeting business, 4.1, fiscal year 25 budget update. Are you ready, Ross? We've only been talking about it all day.
Yes, there's a very little update from last night. Got the warrant posted this morning, today with help from town clerk. Sent copies to town council and to the moderator. I also sent a note to the school, business department today, telling them this is what the number we put in the warrant, explaining how we got that number and that it's different from their July 10th request. And that if they should see fit to resend us an assessment number that matches this one, we could potentially close this matter at town meeting. If not, we'll take it from there. Is there anything else in the budget you want me to talk about?
No, I mean, we covered the majority of it yesterday.
Yep.
I put this in here as a placeholder in case we didn't come to an agreement last night,
Okay.
which I think,
I think we did good yesterday, we got it nailed down really well.
yep.
I met with the finance committee chair this morning. He updated me. Basically, the finance committee ended up recommending or supporting all of the articles.
Alright, good.
So I think we're,
Just see if we get it all passed at town meeting.
yeah, I think the key is to be sure the public knows it's out there, and that it's on our webpage now. The warrant is on the webpage now. And you show up at 7 o'clock on August 20th.
It was brought to my attention from a couple of people, what we can do to, try to do what we need to do to make sure that we have a quorum. Outside of our normal posting, would either of you, and I kind of wish Teresa was here for this too, to do an informational session, like, before, the last one was so quick, I only was able to do a recorded one. So do you wanna do an informational in regards to that? Do you wanna hold a meeting with questions from people? I mean, how do you wanna?
This is pretty simple in a warrant. I mean, we could do it. But is it gonna change? There wasn't that many people at that last one, right?
Not really, no.
Yeah.
Well, if we could do it as a recording just for TCAM, where one of us or I explain what's in the warrant versus just reading it to them. If that helps. If you think people have questions, I don't mind answering questions. Then they can come to a more formal meeting, or they can call call, email, or come visit me.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we have, that people know that we're wanting to be able to get that out there, to be able to discuss
Yeah, I
it.
think if you can do a video, have it put on TCAM and put it out there, if they have any formal questions, we'll be more than happy to address them before the meeting.
Okay, you willing to do that?
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, what I would do is just walk people through why we're doing each article.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The school budget number, you've explained,
Why we came up with that?
came up with that number, and what a yes vote on that article would still mean a no vote to what the school submitted us, but it gives them a starting point. I don't mind explaining that.
And in each line item, we can give the number of what line item, so people who follow along can follow that too.
So, I should talk to TCAM and see about setting that session up.
Yep. Also, are we gonna be doing the handouts? We talked a little bit about it last night. I did like what, Don had as far as the projections, for the, stabilization
Yeah.
fund
We'll see where we are.
yeah. I think that's important for us to put out there, and then maybe, I forget what that section is called, where it's the general section, where it has all of our areas on it, and then the total amount for the budget.
Oh, it's part of what's in the annual warrant?
Yeah.
We can do that, but I thought we were just talking about we're changing
Just line
a
items.
dozen line items, and we're not gonna bring up the whole warrant, because we don't wanna open those up for further discussion.
That's why I'm asking now.
Yeah.
But that's just the one thing,
Just-
and to show the line, where those changes are going to be. We just wanna leave it.
I think if we open that up and go to that line, someone may be able to bring it back. If we just address, as we talked last night, each line item, that's what we're working on, that's all we're doing on the budget.
Okay.
Cause if we talk about any other line, we bring another line in, it's just gonna open it up, I think. We can have the handout, like you said, with that, and then that bottom line, there's a handout here, is the bottom line now.
Right, that's,
But nothing to discuss it.
okay.
I think that will open us up.
Well, I'm good with that.
I'm
Anything
good
else
with that.
that you can think of that?
No,
we
I
need
think
to do?
we can show what we've changed, and we'll show the bottom line. And, that will come down to the discussion at the end of town meeting, the last article is what do we have to adjust with using stabilization? And the finance committee actually is in support of this plan of using some stabilization, so that we will repay or put back into the account in the December special town meeting.
Right. You good?
So I'll be working on getting the motions ready, and get them over to town council for his review. Where I can, the motion will be as printed in the warrant, if in fact that's wording still stands. In the warrant, I had assigned each of the 3 members of the board to speak to an article. Excuse me, I did it just on a rotating basis, but we can make those changes if you want.
Yeah, I think that works out right, just 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Speak wherever I see my name.
Yeah.
And that's how I do it.
And usually you get a motion book, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, we get a packet, now motions in there,
And then we sign it, and that's what we give to the clerk. So each motion is on a separate piece of paper, yes,
For each
for each article. 4.3, honey locust tree trimming on north side of town hall.
Why is everybody laughing?
This is a beautiful tree, that has grown, I guess, very successfully, because it's now overhanging the north end of town hall. And facilities manager brought it to my attention, said, it's never good for a roof to have branches laying on it. It's not good for rodent control, because squirrels and whatnot can easily get to the building by going up. But it being a very visible location, actually, and it has a plaque on the ground that was dedicated to somebody, I thought we ought to think through just what we cut. Facilities manager had a quote from an arborist. At Chaz's suggestion, I called in our tree warden. And this morning, facilities, tree warden, myself, and Roger from Parks and Recreation met us out there, and we looked and hemmed and hawed about what we ought to cut. And so we're just gonna lightly trim the branches that are overhanging the roof. We're not gonna cut off whole limbs, which was recommended by the arborist. Obviously, we're gonna prune off the dead stuff that comes down. And Roger said he could do it with a bucket truck. So.
You know, we can save $1,000, I'm all for that, go for it.
Yes, but I wanted the board to discuss this. I want it to be visible to the public, because I think cutting this tree, somebody will say we shouldn't be cutting whatever we're cutting. And I
Well,
think
it is
what
an
we're cutting
historical
needs to
tree.
be done. It's appropriate to be done. Everybody this morning thought that when the tree is cut, some will actually do better, because it will start to open up and there'll be new branches growing. But if it's okay with you, I will ask Roger to schedule that.
Be very minimal on the cutting that he has to do.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted the tree warden involved in it, so
Perfect.
that we had it checked out, and the tree warden agrees with it, so I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good.
Roger said that he could even lift up the plaque so it can be seen again, because he knows how to take care of burial monuments and plaques in the ground.
Green Parks and Cemetery and all.
I mean, I think this is the right people working on it, and they're gonna try to cut, as you said, minimally, but
Very good.
get the branches off the roof.
I'm good with that. 4.4, the wind project progress. I just wanted to give you an update. We are now installing, equipment in each building. There's been line certified as far as what's on the poles right now. Once they come in, to the buildings, and we'll do a final pass, but we are working with Guardian. We're a little under budget, not too much, but, we are, looking at, end of August probably, when we're gonna, as they say, light it up. And we'll know more, in regards to that. I wanted to put this on here because there will be, at times, some service interruptions. If people are using any software applications or trying to, there may be downtime. We are coming up on a couple of downtime as we integrate some of the, building software, the online applications. We have to be very cautious in regards to knowing when we're doing batching for some of our payroll and all of that kind of stuff. So, we're trying to time things at night and on the weekends when there's not a lot, but there will be a couple of weekends where we'll be in here both Saturday and Sunday to be able to freely do the work that we need to get done.
So you'll be checking with, accounting and payroll.
Yep. I'll make sure their batches are done before, and not holding any batches until over the weekend to get complete batches done, and then we'll be able to do the work that we do. I just wanted to make sure that everybody was on the same page with that. 4.5, discuss Historic District Commission email setup. As we heard last meeting, that I had the HDC at townsendma.gov set up a while ago, but that is an active mailbox. But we have established a policy, I wanna say 2.5–3 years ago, that having an outside email address should not be attached to any government email. And no other board or commission has a town issued email address, which means access to a mailbox that's on the network for town. HDC is in a, they don't have anybody on their board that has a town address. The majority of other boards and commissions have an administrator that's a town employee that can access these things. So Ross, I'm wondering if, because the HDC works a lot with the building department, would the building admin be able to print out what's in the HDC if we gave them access to it to put in their mailbox?
I can certainly look into that, yes.
But we need to figure out how they're gonna be able to get email out of that email box.
Somebody who has a town account should be able to be given access to that.
Yep.
Well, what about the town clerk's office? There's two of them in there. Why couldn't town clerk, then you can put it right in the mailbox right there.
I'm tasking Ross to
Well,
take
that's
care
what
of
I'm
it.
asking,
Yeah.
right?
I will see which one works best.
Yeah. we
But I
can-
want to accommodate them in their request to be able to access that box, and they're looking more for a legitimate email.
Email, I think, you can't do
which
that,
well, we can't, because we can't afford giving everybody.
Everybody,
Yeah,
no.
that's what it's gonna end up being.
Right.
The switching, when, you know, that's gonna cost us money, cause when we buy the licenses, we have to buy the licenses for a year, and it's just gonna turn into a big mess.
No, I think what you're suggesting, have one of the departments grab them for them and put them in the mailbox, and they're always in the building.
It's only that's one of the few that don't have an admin.
Yeah.
That's,
The concern about that is that communication is only one way, because there's nobody then from the HTC who could respond to those emails. But we'll see if that's workable, and if not, we can come back with another plan.
the only other thought is that, they work with somebody, to be able to log into that email and do the addressing and all of that kind of stuff on a town computer.
Say that again?
Somebody being able to go into using a town computer, going into that account to look at the email and to answer it. But they would have to do it in town. They couldn't do it remotely.
Well, even if they use a town, they shouldn't log into a town computer on someone else's credentials. They should have their own credentials.
That's what I'm saying, so
Yeah,
they have to be somebody here that allows them to use just to get into their email box, or the HTC email box. There has to be something, and there has to be a secure method, I guess basically is what I'm saying.
Okay, I will look into that.
4.6, I had a conversation with town council in regards to 65 Main Street, which is the Old Harbor, fire station. There has been, or there was in November of last year, questions in regards to the ownership of the Old Harbor Fire Station and the property that's the Old Harbor Fire Station is sitting on. We have the deed, the book and page, copy of the book and page, and we also have, the 1930, I forget, 1936, 1934, in a town meeting where the town approved the sale of that property. But there is an abutter that, still contending that possibly that if we are not actively using it as a fire station, it reverts back to the original owner, which we do not see anything, in regards to that. The only way that we can find out, is to do a title search. And, town council does have people that can do a title search, to verify for that. Do we wanna go that route, or do we wait until any actions,
Well,
if any action is?
I just don't see spending town money, I don't get what it's getting turned into a fire museum, so it has fire part of it. Doesn't say it has to be a fire station for the fire department, it is being part of the fire department. I don't feel we should spend our taxpayers' money doing a title search. If there's a problem, let the abutters come up with it, let them pay. Why are we gonna pay to solve the problem, exactly why we're in the mess we're in with that whole historic district?
So, to be clear, the deed has no restrictions on it. It has no, it is, the town purchased the land
Mhm.
according to the information that we have. According to town council, is that if anybody contests that, it would be up to the person to contest it to pay for a title search, that kind of thing. I am just trying to be, to problem solve cause we have been in contact with an attorney for the abutter, and the abutter agrees with the documentation that we have put out, and also says that, you know, the individual may want to file, okay? That's
Well,
what
then
I say,
file.
I don't, yeah.
Let them file, let them do what they gotta do, and then if we have to spend town council money to spend to do it, then we do that, but we're in such a financial crunch, I don't wanna spend money to research a title that's been, for how many years as town property, it's ludicrous, it's just ludicrous.
Well, the town seems to be convinced to go one way.
Yeah.
So, to me, the matter is dead. If an abutter or someone else wants to do their own research, let them do that. When they present that research to the town, we could look at it and either reevaluate our decision or research it further, but the town's position it seems to be clear. Because
The town council says that according to the documents that we possess,
There's no question.
there's no question.
So let's
And,
just
and
move on.
there may be, but he says that what we have is exactly what it is, and, you know, I'm throwing it out there. You know, if we
So
wanted to move
I make a
forward, or-
vote that we do not do any title search on 65 Main Street. If an abutter has an issue, they can do it, and then it comes back to us if it needs to be.
First off, that any motion needs to be in the positive, that's number one, but I don't think we need to vote on it if we're not gonna do it.
I can do anything, yeah. All right.
Okay with you, Russ?
Yes, absolutely.
4.7, this we do need to have a vote on. So I'll entertain a motion to dissolve the town administrator search committee effective today, August 6th, 2024.
So moved.
And I'll second that motion. Any discussion? I wanna thank the TA search committee, the chair, and all of the members. That was quite a task. They had much more documentation than we had the last time. And I just wanna say thank you, and they did a great job.
I wanna say thank you too. It was a lot of hard work that they put in, and they brought a couple good names to us, and I think we did the right thing by approving the right person. So thank you very much.
All those in favor?
Joe Shank, yes.
Chaz Sexton Uranian is. 4.8, I would like to entertain a motion to approve a request for the 20th annual Gregory Reeves Memorial Road Race, AKA Greg's Run, on October 12th, 2024 in Townsend.
So moved.
And I'll second that.
Does this involve road closures or anything like
Yeah,
that?
That's what I was just gonna say, this will, and usually, at least last year, didn't we get the road closure afterwards? This was the first step, and then the person who's in charge of it will take care of all of the, paperwork, and then we'll vote on the road closure.
Then we vote on what the police department's approved to.
Right, the detail and all of that, so, they do take care of it, but this is their first step. And we voted on that, right? 4.9, discuss interim for select board office. Oh, intern. Okay. So we have a gentleman that's interested in interning with us, and with Eric and I had come up with a couple of things that, we would like to have assistance with as an intern. I just don't have time to be able to spend with somebody right now to be able to do that. I'd really like to bring this young man on, who's interested in doing it, but I think I would like to wait until, we get, Nelson in before we start anything. So the reason why I put this on there is with the board's permission, I'd like to be able to, either I or Ross reach out to the young man and talk, well, bring him in and talk with him, because you haven't talked with him yet, right? So I'd like to have, bring him in and have him talk. I do wanna say that we've had, some great success with the past interns that we had, one of which, was with us for a while, for a long time, so I wanna be able to do that, but I just, to be fair to the individual, I wanna bring him in and at least talk with him and let him know what we're looking at,
Good with that.
in regards to.
You or Ross, whoever wants to volunteer for it.
Okay. Alright, so, Ross,
We
if we
haven't, we
can,
haven't heard a volunteer yet.
Rock, paper, I'll be glad to talk to him.
we'll figure it out
Okay.
between the two of us.
I guess you waited long enough for me to finally volunteer. Yes, I'll talk to you. Sabrina, could you send me his contact information?
Sure.
4.10, the forestry contract, yet again, I just wanna be clear that nothing has changed in this except for the scope of work. That had been, a discussion with the Affordable Housing Trust, and they're down now to, this is what they're gonna do, and this is really just the scope of work that needs to change. We already authorized it, but they felt they wanted to put it back to the selectmen to let them know that that had changed, so that there's no issues with it. I've reviewed it, and I don't see any issues with it. You're good with it? Okay. Do we need to formal vote on that? We've already voted on it, but that's like the exact trees and the exact things that they're doing. They changed the scope on that just a little bit. I also know that there was a discussion in regards to the buffer to surrounding properties. I think they increased it a little bit, so it doesn't look like
And that's
anything.
what's indicated here, right? A 30% forest buffer will be left, and
Correct.
so forth.
Correct.
So, the board, you could have a motion to accept the contract dated June 17th. With the landowner being the Townsend Affordable Housing Trust for a forestry project.
So moved.
Second.
That was easy.
All those in favor?
Sure, thank you.
Chessex and Duranian, yes. Thank you, Ross.
Somebody died.
I think that was Veronica just thanking us. The addition 4.11, the resolution. In my free time, I drafted, and I emailed it out to everybody, an official resolution requesting emergency declaration regarding the proposed closure of the Nashua Valley Medical Center. As Neshoba, sorry. Should I read this into the record, Ross?
I think you can give a copy to Sabrina to put it in the record.
Yep.
It's along the lines, actually, it's very detailed, but it's along the lines of what the board discussed last night, that someone needs to send a letter to the governor telling him we're very concerned about what's happening, and I think Chaz has done a very nice job documenting what's going into all of that, so.
So we just all sign in, just send it. I'm in favor. think
Right,
it's a
but I
great job.
just wanted to make sure that that we're explaining to the public, because, we have received, and Ross has received a couple of, inquiries.
It's kinda early still, we're doing good. I think that being read so everybody can hear it, so know exactly where we're where we stand and what our thoughts are, if you don't mind. I'd love you to read
I
that
don't,
in.
but I just wanna make sure that we have it on record.
Yeah, I think it's the right thing to do, because there is a lot of chatter on outside sources that we need to do something.
The official resolution requesting emergency declaration regarding the proposed closure of the Nashua Valley Medical Center. Neshoba, did I say Nashua again? Sorry. We, the duly elected Townsend Select Board, given the impending proposed closure of the Neshoba Valley Medical Center, and I'll use the NVMC from this point forward, scheduled for August 31st, 2024, officially implore the Governor, Maura Healey, of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, exert her leadership and official powers to prevent the closure of the NVMC, including but not limited to declaring a state of public health emergency to prevent the closure of the NVMC, in addition to formally adhering to the 120-day closure process in ordinance with Massachusetts state law. Whereas the NVMC in Air, Massachusetts is a 46-bed community hospital opened in 1964, which has continuously provided primary critical health care, including emergency health services to the 15 towns of the Neshoba Valley region of Townsend, Ashby, Bolton, Boxborough, Devens, Dunstable, Groton, Harvard, Lancaster, Littleton, Pepperell, Shirley, Stowe, Townsend, and Westford, with a combined population of approximately 114,390. Additionally, the Neshoba Valley Medical Center provides critical secondary emergency care to the other communities of north central Massachusetts and southern New Hampshire. And whereas the NVMC receives approximately 16,000 emergency room visits annually and receives approximately 91,000 outpatient visits annually. And whereas the NVMC is geographically positioned in a key location to provide central, direct health care emergency services to rural communities which do not have access to public mass transportation, for patients to travel beyond the region for health care and emergency health services, including our most vulnerable populations of the elderly, disability community, and children. And whereas currently the town of Townsend's emergency response, which is our advanced life support, averages a 30 to 40 minute return to service when transporting to the NVMC, which is only 10.7 miles from the Townsend Fire Station. The closest alternative hospitals to the town of Townsend are as follows: Leominster Hospital, 11.4 miles; Emerson Hospital, 30.32 miles; Lowell General, 25.93 miles; and Southern New Hampshire, 22.30 miles. If NVMC closes, Townsend Emergency Response is estimated to take critical services out of the response areas for up to an additional 2.5 to 3.5 hours, assuming no traffic and ideal weather conditions. Additionally, these increased response times will have a significant negative impact on emergency survival rates, as well as increased unfunded costs for emergency services for the towns of the Neshoba Valley. And whereas the NVMC is one of the employers of the town of Townsend and the Neshoba Valley region, employing many jobs, the loss of jobs and negative impact to the local and regional economy will be devastating. And whereas the NVMC to date has not received a viable bidder to assume the operations of the hospital, and the federal bankruptcy judge on July 31st, 2024, ruled that Steward Medical, the current owner and operator of NVMC, to proceed with closing the hospital by August 31st, 2024, in only 30 days as opposed to the 120 days per Massachusetts state law. And whereas the impending closure of the NVMC by August 31st, 2024 will create a healthcare void in the Neshoba Valley region, impacting over 100,000 residents of the Commonwealth, increase emergency response times to over an hour, cut off direct local access to public health care to the region's most vulnerable populations, create the loss of over 500 jobs, and shutter the entire emergency response service for the 15 towns of the Neshoba Valley Medical Center. A man-made public health emergency currently exists. And whereas Governor Maura Healey has the power to set forth in Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 17, Section 2A as follows: Upon declaration by the governor that an emergency exists which is detrimental to the public health, the commissioner may, with the approval of the governor and the Public Health Council during such period of emergency, take such action and incur such liability as he may deem necessary to assure the maintenance of public health and the prevention of disease. The commissioner, with the approval of the Public Health Council, may establish procedures to be followed during such emergency to ensure the continuation of essential public health services and the enforcement of the same. Now therefore, the Townsend Select Board respectively requests the Governor Maura Healey to take the following immediate actions within her powers as Governor of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts as follows. 1. Per Mass General Law, Chapter 17, Section 2A, declare that a public health emergency exists with the impending closure of the NVMC, and further instruct Dr. Robert Goldstein, Commissioner of the Department of Public Health, to take such action to assure the maintenance of public health by keeping the NVMC open and operational. 2. That the Governor, per her public statements on August 1st, 2024, that Stewart should adhere to the 120-day closure per Massachusetts state law, do everything in her powers as Governor to ensure the 120-day closure period. 3. That the Governor work with federal, state, and local leaders of the Neshoba Valley to develop a permanent transition plan with funding to ensure that the NVMC remains open and operational and ultimately transfers to a reasonable operator. We, the Townsend Select Board, hereby issue this official resolution on August 6, 2024, from the Townsend Town Hall, Townsend, Massachusetts, and officially transmit this official resolution to Governor Maura Healey, Governor of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and Dr. Robert Goldstein, Commissioner of the Department of Public Health of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, with official copies transmitted to Congresswoman Lori Trahan, State Senator Jamie Eldridge, State Senator John Cronin, State Senator Edward Kennedy, State Representative Daniela Sina, State Representative Margaret Scarsdale, State Representative James Acurio, State Representative Michael Kushmerak, probably tore that one up, State Representative Natalie Higgins, and official copies to the select boards of the 15 aforementioned towns of the Neshoba Valley region, signed the 6th day of August 2024 by, and it would be the selectmen. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the resolution and send it to the aforementioned individuals.
So moved.
And I'll second that. Any discussion?
I think that's
Well
a good
put.
letter that's well documented and has some requested action items.
You have the original we're gonna sign?
You can make one up. All those in favor?
Joe Shank, yes.
Chad Sexton and Ray Means.
I have one here.
I thought I did, but I wrote on this one.
This one, we can sign this and give it. If you sign that. It's clean, I didn't write on it. There you did. I thought I gave you one, Jazz.
I have a copy also if you need one.
Yeah, as long as we didn't write on the. Yes.
Sign that.
Yes, Steve.
You wrote on it, why did you do that?
All right, thank you.
And you're giving that to Sabrina to mail out tomorrow?
Yes.
Will that work for you tomorrow, Sabrina?
Yep.
Yeah, it's here. 5.0 ARPA projects, I didn't have anything. Did you have anything else?
No, but I think that's a topic we ought to surface in a future meeting, so we can keep track where everything is.
Okay. Then I propose that I'll put that on the next agenda.
There was a public records request for documentation on that, so if we have something already,
We do have some with, we do have all documentation for it.
Is the public record request?
Asking for how the money was spent and allocated.
Okay.
We have a consultant that we can get.
Well, that's gonna detail some work. They want to know everything that we've done and what we've spent it on?
So,
So who's gonna pay the cost of putting that together?
well, we've got to first estimate if it's something substantial, then the person requesting the records will have to,
Do we have a name of who's requesting?
yes, I don't have it with me now, but yes, we know who it is.
Could you forward me that name after?
You want me to cut a hold, is it Capital Solutions that's doing that?
Yes. Jennifer? We've provided her with, spreadsheets. We also have, Katie and I have gone over, actually recently, within the last month, with all the accounting on those, and, I don't remember, but on the latest BVA, I think we might be. I don't know if she includes it. I don't think it's on this one. But
Just printed this, I didn't see it on the agenda.
she can pull this off of,
Katie Gillian?
oh yeah, cause we just went over where we're at with all the levels, and we were gonna be submitted to Jennifer, so Jennifer has all the information.
I will contact Jennifer and Katie.
Yep. And this is gonna be on the next agenda anyway, so we can discuss it then. 5.1 Town Administrator updates and reports.
I have a very short report, only because we just did one last night. As I said a little bit earlier, the board approved the warrant, and the finance committee basically is agreeing to recommend most of all the articles. So that warrant was posted today, through efforts that Kathy arranged with our constable. The school budget still needs to be resolved, and as we talked about, the number that's in the warrant is not what the school had asked for. So, but it's an attempt to provide them with guidance that they could see fit to do. We had our first working group meeting today to work out the trash fee collection process. We had some great work that was done by the treasurer collector as far as how to use VADAR and some of our other existing applications. We started going through some of the questions about what amount we're gonna allocate out to everybody, and the assumption is we're gonna allocate the full $822,000. And we discussed opting out options and how we might structure that. So we're getting a framework put together, and as soon as I have something that I think is solid, I will-
Enforcement and all of the
Okay.
logistics on computer software, who's gonna be in charge of what, and it was a good meeting. I thought it was really good.
So that's all I've got to add, after last night.
5.2, reports from board liaisons. Gunning?
Just a couple of updates. Police chief kinda had some of the conversation that we talked about that he asked me to bring up today. They have the two openings that, the process that they went through, that unfortunately the two people didn't seem to make any further than where they were. The, one is gonna hopefully get out of the academy pretty quick, starting sometime in winter, be, back on the road with the guys. Chief's working still, and they're very close to getting all the officers, everybody, the accreditation that they need, the new accreditation for police officers. He said that's going very well. They have named the new SRO for the school, His name is Chris Tucker. Everybody seems to like him, the school likes him, and so you just wanna let that know that he's gonna be the school resource officer. So that's all as far as for the police department. Fire department today had a little conversation with them. They were very concerned about the hospital closure, which we've been all talking about for the past couple of years. I did tell them that, you know, we are working on it, so that was good. They do have the 2 new engines and the ambulance coming, and he just wants to make sure if there's any way possible that they've given a lot of money out of the ambulance reserve receipt accounts that would use that money to fund some of the new equipment they need on it, such as hoses and different things like that, that if there's any money in the opera account on the wellness or anything, that we could maybe try to transfer, and so they can have them trucks when they get here ready, because we can buy the trucks, but we still gotta outfit them.
Right.
But I told them I'd at least bring that up and open the door. The old forestry 2 truck, the old army truck, was sent back to District 6, so we no longer have that big army green truck running around for the forestry, so that went back. The month of July, he says they've got pretty much a great increase in the reserve account that brought in. They're thinking a little over 100,000 to 107. So it says been very productive. The guys have been very busy working. They're also working on, we just had that cloud outage where everybody got hit, 9/11 went down, so they're trying in-house to try to figure out how they're gonna get around that, so they just wanna let us know that they're concerned about that locally, so they just want people to know they're working on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. He did ask about the labor contract, the union contract that we already approved, where that stands and why it hasn't been signed, but what
It
do
hasn't
we?
been signed because it hasn't been written, because I've been doing budgets in town meeting. But it's more moving to the top of my list to do.
Okay, perfect. All
I-
right,
yeah.
that's fine.
He mentioned that to me already.
All right, and he just wants to just let us know that the state just did their ambulance inspections, and that's really a very tough, rigorous inspection from outside mechanicals all the way to all the equipment inside. And all our equipment passed with flying colors, which that's unheard of on a lot of equipment, so just kind of a good showing that they are respecting and maintaining that equipment, which is really important.
Well, I think since this chief has been here, he's
Mhm.
been working hard on maintenance and annual
Yes, and it
requirements.
shows right there, because they were very surprised that everything went that quick, so that's just a great, you know, I send kudos to everybody that's working on that, because you take an ambulance out of service, you create a serious problem. So that's all I have for public safety.
Good. I'm gonna start with the water department. It's been brought to, our attention that there has been some vandalism at the, Witches Brook, well. There's, it started off being somewhat minor, and now it's to the point where it's concerning. So the commissioners are having an emergency meeting on the 8th to talk about, signs and possible fencing around it. Cause we do have to, that's a pretty serious offense, messing with a public utility like that, so.
Okay, that's a water supply, right, the wells? Yeah, all right.
So, we've talked to the superintendent and one of the commissioners, and they're gonna come up with a plan of action, in regards to securing that.
Do we have any cameras? Do they have any cameras down there?
No, that's what they're gonna be talking
Alright.
about. It may be, it has to be incremented, I think, in steps, so signage, because you have to have signage before you can trespass anybody, it has to have a sign that says no trespassing. You know, that there's been nothing over there for all these years. But it's to the point where it's concerning to the water superintendent, so we need to get something done immediately. But outside of that, the water department is looks like it's a little ahead of schedule, so instead of November, they were talking about they might be in the new facility by September
Wow,
or October.
wow, good for them.
Yep, that's what I thought too. But, I just wanna thank the commissioners, and I also wanna thank the superintendent for the work that they're doing over there, because it's the amount of work to be able to do what they're doing, and this hopefully, their plan of action, they have a 5-year and a 10-year plan. They wanna resolve the current issues, especially in the Timberley Park area as far as discolored water. They really have an aggressive schedule on flushing out the entire system. They need to know exactly how the system's going to, cause once you change the environment, you've gotta monitor and find out how it's reacting to it before any additions on there, but there is going to be, additional customers that they're gonna be adding to the system as we move along, so, they're taking the right steps to be able to do that. We also have the state being, very, watching everything to make sure that, things are followed the way that they're supposed to, but more importantly, they're looking to, see how we as a small community have developed this entire project so that they can use it on other projects in other towns. So it's quite a feat. And I personally can't believe that a town of our size is putting in a plant like that. I mean, it's,
Nobody around us got one,
and the funding too.
Yeah,
The funding was
funding.
put in place for it too.
and to get it done as quick as we have,
Yeah.
from, the beginning right to now, that's huge, that's what, 3.5 years, maybe 3 years, that's unheard of.
So, I remember we were talking about it in the PFAS when it first
Great.
came out.
Yeah.
So, outside of that, the other boards that I've been working with are pretty much status quo. I know that, we have to be the interim voice to, these boards and commissions, and I just wanna, make sure that all of us are working as liaisons to make sure that, the voice goes to the liaison first before it actually comes to the select board to work on. So if we can kind of, keep our ear to the boards and commissions, I do want them to know that we hear them and we're doing what we can to help them out. I've been taking on a lot of work, and when I'm not the liaison to a particular area and I'm asked to do things, I have to defer to the liaison, so I just wanted to put that out there.
And if I can interject, that if you're getting personnel type requests, those that should actually be redirected to the town administrator versus to the board liaison.
And just, I don't wanna interrupt you, but one thing I did forget in my public safety, I did have a conversation with the building department, Russ, and I don't know if they've come to you and spoke to you in regards to the money that was being sent from the water department for the inspections on the building, and they didn't know exactly where that was really supposed to go. They haven't cashed that check, so have you talked to anybody in the the building department?
For inspections of the new treatment plant.
Yes, there was an amount of money.
That was brought up a month or more ago.
Yeah.
And I thought they had resolved how that was gonna be handled.
I just talked to them the other day, and they said they saved not cashing because they're not really sure how to handle that, so I guess you can look into that.
I think I will be glad to look into it.
We talked about it when it was brought up to me, and I thought that was gonna be given to Katie, and Katie was gonna put it in their proper account.
So it's the building department inspection fees of the new treatment plant.
Correct.
The question is,
Where are they putting that money, and what is that money to be used for? Is their question.
I will check, but I don't know why it's not handled the way any other
Well,
building inspection fee.
he, meaning the building commissioner, had made a comment in regards to setting up a revolving fund.
Yes, and I think the answer was that wasn't appropriate for,
Correct. But he wanted to make sure that money was earmarked for the building department.
And wire inspectors and plumbing inspectors, I think, right?
Right.
So I didn't know enough about it to get into the conversation with her, but I told her I'd bring it up tonight, and
so done.
hopefully you guys will figure that out. Sorry about that, Jazz.
That's all right. 5.3 announcements and communications. The only thing I have is a legal notice from the Conservation Commission. This is in regards to a public hearing that the Conservation Commission is holding on Wednesday, August 14th at approximately 7:15 p.m. The hearing will be held virtually via Zoom meeting and in person at Town Hall. On a notice of intent filed with the Conservation Commission by MassDOT. The project location is the culvert under Route 119, Main Street, approximately 100 feet west of its intersection with Edward Road. It's kind of like between Edward Road and where the
Right there.
where the parking for the rail trail is right there. The NOI was filed retroactively for structural repairs following a head wall and embankment collapse, which resulted in a blockage of the upstream end of the culvert. The work occurred in land under water riverfront area in a 100-foot bordering vegetation wetland buffer. Parties wishing to speak in support of or in opposition to may do so at the meeting. And that was, again, it was a retroactive because the culvert collapsed and they needed to get it fixed, so they are taking care of all of what needs to be done. And that's all I got. Ross, anything on that for you?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Next meeting is going to be Tuesday, August 20th at 6 p.m. Special town meeting then, after that on 8/20/24 at 7 p.m.
So, at 6 p.m. on the 20th?
Was there another announcement?
That's the only one I put in there. What other one?
The town administrative letter?
The press release?
Yeah. What was it?
Well, we released we did a press release
Oh, no, not that one.
for Nelson, which is, he's starting on the 26th of this month. We're also going to, at 12 noon on the 26th, we're going to have a brief luncheon for him, to welcome him, like we did with Eric in that great hall.
No, it was the school letter to the town administrators.
Oh, this
That
one,
was-
yes. There had been some work with, I kind of started this and then lately Russ has been jumping in and filling in for me and I appreciate it. This is the town administrators of Ashby, Pepperell, and Townsend. In regards to longstanding concerns about the North Middlesex Regional School District budget and the community's ability to afford the annual assessment. There's been some fundamental issues, the state formula, transportation costs, SPED, state and federal mandates. These costs to the schools have been analogs in our town, salary increases, utilities and other escalating costs like state and federal mandates for water quality, etc. The letter is basically saying that where the town's position is, and we felt that it was important to have all of the town administrators from the three towns send this to the superintendent of schools to say this is our position going forward. Do you want to speak more on this? This was a foreshadow to the fiscal year 2026 budget talks. And basically the three towns are saying a 3% assessment increase with total amount including operation, transportation, and debt service. This is what we can afford, so that we're all on the same page.
That was sent out?
Yes,
All right, very good, thank you.
we sent out on August 5th.
Well, it's good to have all three towns working together, and giving the same message to the schools. It's a start.
Yep.
Stop.
I'll entertain a motion to review and sign payroll and bills payable warrants out of session.
So moved.
I'll second that. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Shank, yes.
Chad Sexton Meridian, yes. Okay,
Make a motion, we adjourn
there we go.
at 7:26.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Shank, yes.
Chad Sexton Meridian, yes.
So now we have to sign a couple things before we leave, correct?
Correct.
All right. I don't want Sabrina chasing me. Hey, sign that.
Yeah.
Let's start with those.
I forgot that, buddy.
Anything else I can do for you tonight?
Did you sign, you have to sign that?
I thought, this is the place you, I thought you had to sign it, but
I can sign it, it doesn't matter to me.
well, I think it's appropriate at this stage for you to sign it, because the motion didn't ask for, authorize me to sign it. This is the police.
The police.
M1. Oh, yeah. Otherwise, I would have glad to, but what you would do with that. You got nothing else for me on your part?
You gonna go home?
You may.
You haven't worked long enough today?
My wife is in California for a family wedding, so I have a night home to myself.
Oh, how relaxing will that be?
Yeah, get home, make my lunch and go to bed. I mean, that's a hot night for me.
Yeah, just me, yeah.